IP in the news, which is, of course, always one of my favorite things. Who is on the chopping block today?
Well, this is a patent application. It's not an issued patent, so it still has to make its way through the patent office, but it's General Motors. So if I'm the first one in the car, I get to set the climate. So based on the clothes I'm wearing. So it's
what? No, let me explain. This patent automatically senses the layers of clothing that you have on your body. And
no, the first person in the car.
Well, it can do it for multiple people too.
Oh,
so it senses the layers of clothing that you have and then adjusts the temperature accordingly. So, of course, I agreed to use this as part of our IP in the news because I wanted to ask the question, well, what happens if you're not wearing any clothing? But that said,
have you ever done that?
You don't want to know.
Into the car nude.
That's no. You don't want to know. Anyway,
I don't.
I don't think. Anyway, besides that, though, I mean, it is kind of a unusual invention that they would have sensors all around you and decide whether or not you have.
I don't know. I kind of like
it.
I kind of like it. Like if you're driving, you don't want to be fiddling with everything.
I guess that could be the case, but I mean, I thought they already kind of solved that problem with independent air conditioners and independent heaters for each seat. A lot of cars have that, right? So why would you need this?
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. So I'd like to ask my guests today what you think about this. It's time for Richard's Roundtable. Welcome to the show, Roy. Great to have you with us. What do you think about this idea from General Motors?
First of all, thanks for having me. I'm grateful. I have an expression for gee whiz ideas like this. It's like almost like solutions looking for a problem. And it's not clear to me that I understand the problem or whether the problem's even relevant. I mean, one of the biggest things we need to do is figure out what people care about. So my question is, do people care about that? If they care about it, if it's a big caring, if it's a craving, if it's the desire, then maybe it's got some legs. But on the surface, yeah, I'm not a fan.
I was kind of thinking the same thing. I didn't really put it into words the same way you did, but then there are inventions, things that we didn't think we needed, but now we need. Like, for example, heated seats. I would have never thought that I would need heated seats, but now that I have them in my car, they're essential, right? So it's sort of a chicken and the egg type of problem, right?
Yeah, it could be. It could be initial impressions. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'd be looking for something that's a little more specific to what people actually care about in vehicles. And if you showed me the evidence that shows that 85% of the people really do care about, you know, that sort of sensitivity in terms of their car, then I stand corrected. But on the surface, I wouldn't buy it.
I think I'd prefer it. I can give voice commands to my car. Sometimes they work, sometimes but if I could give it the voice command, set the temperature to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, then that would be more useful to me.
Well, the other interesting thing about the patent, and I didn't say this earlier, but it's all hooked up to the cloud. So they're anticipating that they're going to have these sensors in your house. And so the car is going to know what you're wearing even before you get to it, which is freaky deaky, right? I mean,
and then it'll be a self-driving car. So
I'm assuming that they think we're all infants, right? We can't even decide how to adjust the temperature in our car. Anyway,
interesting.
Those are my thoughts. Daniel, do you have any thoughts on this?
I mean, as a cognitive psychologist, one of the things that we studied was over automation. And this strikes me as, you know, all of a sudden the car is changing temperature. You didn't mean for it to be doing that. I mean, I wrestle with my Siri all the time. When it thinks, I'm so sorry, I just said that. It might get activated right now. but that's just an example of what can happen here. That being said, playing devil's advocate, I mean, Elon Musk put like a computer in a car. I think it's ridiculous. I mean, I was just in a long car ride with my sister-in-law's kids, and they were doing karaoke in the car and everything. But they justify, paying a lot for this car because it has this computer in the car. So all I'm saying is, who knows what this next generation is going to want when it comes to being spoon-fed exactly the right temperature. Also, as a sleep scientist, temperature really interests me, and I think it's an interesting patent. So I see why they did that, maybe for something off in the future, but personally, as a 35-year-old, it seems a little much to me.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. We're kind of like grumpy old people.
Right.
I didn't have that growing up. What
As
are
a
these?
patent attorney, I should welcome every innovation on earth, right? I mean, it's something more to protect, but so anyway, well, thank you for your comments. Beverly, what do you think about all this?
Well, I just want to know how long the training program is to learn how to drive your car with all these gadgets. And what's the size of the new car manual that barely fits in the glove compartment now because it has so many pages?
Yeah, I
That's it.
agree.
You know what? They are already really thick, even for the old cars. I have for my SUV, it's about 3 inches thick. And I think that even makes references to online stuff in the manual. So you're right. I mean, you're going to have a PhD in your car before you can actually drive it one of these days. So I don't know. What's the IP takeaway with all of this, Elizabeth?
Well, I think that I in this one, it's like, I don't know how much market testing they did. They certainly didn't test our age group probably, but if you have a good innovation idea and you have the money, protect it. And maybe you can develop the market yourself, like Daniel was saying, right?
Yeah. I mean, you have to be a big company to do that with a lot of market pull. But it's interesting. You really never know what direction technology is going to go in. And this could turn out to be a great thing. I don't know,
Well,
but
and you don't know what the newer generations are really going to expect. Like, I think that's part of it too.
right. I agree.
I mean, our daughter doesn't have a TV. She
Right.
watches everything on her computer. Like, we live with our TV.
Right. Exactly.